All right, well, let's talk about Facebook. So Mark Luckey was a longtime executive at Facebook, and he then recently left. But before he left, he dropped a memo to all Facebook employees, and it's called Facebook is Failing Its Black Employees and Its Black Users. He made the following points about black users. Black people are one of the most engaged demographics on Facebook, but their experiences are sometimes far from positive. Underrepresented groups are being systematically excluded from communication. Teams that require diverse perspectives should hire diverse people. Hiring diversity-focused employees isn't a cure-all. This is what he said for black employees. Racial discrimination at Facebook is real, and HR is often a dead end. Now, he doesn't just blast them and offer no answers. He lays out what from his perspective, many answers are. Now, Mark Luckey, I know him. He's a member of NABJ. He's a longtime journalist. He left the media industry, launched his own tech company, sold that company, went to work for Twitter, and then, of course, later went to work for Facebook as well. And, of course, this comes on top of Facebook being blasted by Color of Change for using a right-wing PR firm to attack them and also to attack George Soros as saying he somehow was only the one who was funding Color of Change. They have been calling for changes at Facebook. As a result of this, we had Rashad Robinson, the executive director of Color of Change, on the show. They have been meeting with Facebook executives, and they still be meeting with them this week as well. I want to go to our panel. I mean, this raises some issues here because this is what we're seeing. The power of media is huge. When you look at media, when you look at for centuries, newspapers, televisions, magazine, radio, now, in essence, the white supremacy that we've seen in traditional media, we now see on the digital side. I'm using white supremacy for a reason, because when you look at newsrooms today, more than half of daily newspapers wouldn't even respond to the American Society of Newspaper Editors annual diversity survey. They wouldn't even respond to it. And so you still have newsrooms being run by white men. This is a diverse America. The problem on the tech side is you see what he laid out. You look at what Facebook did. When Facebook announced their news shows, they got 20 plus news shows they're funding. None black media. None, in fact, only one has a black host, and he's actually a co-host, and it's really a white woman who's really the host of that show. So here you have them fully funding these shows, nobody black. And look, I was talking to Mark about Facebook funding our show. There was serious interest, and all of a sudden they said, "Oh, we're not going to be doing news shows." Then another part of Facebook said, "We're launching news shows." and so when he breaks down the experience of black folks on Facebook, and then you hear Mark Zuckerberg and Sheryl Sandberg write their books, give their TED Talks and all their speeches. Now, the proof is in the pudding. And so this has raised some serious issues. Spencer, I want to get your thoughts, again, on what he laid out.
Well, you know, if you look at it, it's really very well reasoned. It's not kind of an ideological screed. I mean, he goes into detail about various issues, and it's not just numbers. You know, the number of black folks has doubled at Facebook from maybe 2% to 4%. But he talks about this culture of inclusion, who's in the mix, who's making decisions, who's mentored, a variety of issues. So this is a problem at Facebook. It's a problem in big tech as well. Right now, Facebook is going through some big challenges in terms of Russia, in terms of Cambridge Analytica, et cetera. And I think that exacerbates these issues, especially for, you know, black folks.
And it was interesting. I actually tried to post his piece on my Facebook page. Wouldn't let me. Wouldn't let me. I've tried it 3 times already. Wouldn't let me post it.
Yeah. I mean, Big Brother is watching. I feel like I am certain of it. And look at how many times they denied basically putting these hit ads out on Soros before they had to actually admit it. But they had to admit it because the proof was out there. So what we're seeing in just a way deregularized field, and to me, that's the first thing that needs to change. There needs to be somebody holding these groups accountable, even in private industry. I mean, and I know so many people disagree with me, whatever. But when you have that much power, there has to be some sort of accountability.
And here's a statement that, of course, Facebook sent to us. If y'all could pull that up, please. Pull the Facebook statement. I appreciate that. Over the last few years, we've been working diligently to increase the range of perspectives among those who build our products and serve the people who use them throughout the world. the growth and representation of people from more diverse groups working in many different functions across the company is a key driver of our ability to succeed. We want to fully support all employees when there are issues reported and when there may be micro behaviors that add up. That's their only response. And look, it's just very simple. I mean, look, for me as a black media owner, the reality is this here. When you look at the power of these companies, when you look at the power of a Facebook, the power of a YouTube, those two companies alone garner about 70% or more of all digital dollars.
Yeah.
That means that everybody else got to share the other 30.
Right.
Everybody else.
Yeah.
Those two companies dominate that.
Right.
And for me, when you look at the content, so sure, Facebook has this show by Jada Pinkett Smith. All right, that's one show. Sure, the show with LeVar Bell and the Ballers, okay, that's one show. But what I'm looking at, you can say it's being selfish. Numbers don't lie. We've been kicking ass. This show, the shows they're fully funding, this show right here blows many of those shows away in terms of viewership. So 6.1 million views we had on Facebook alone in the month of October. 6.1 million.
Wow.
There are some shows that they are fully funding that can't even get 50,000 views in a month. We can get that in 2 airings of this show. So Malik, what he's laying out is, as a company, the question then becomes, is Facebook going to truly appeal to black folks since we over-index and provide content and pay for that we want to see?
Well, you know, I want us to be able to translate that into something. You know, we talk about racism. You know, some people will say, well, that's not racism. You know, however you want to describe it, I'm one of those, you know, I acknowledge that a problem exists. And the idea, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, well, who else has a show like Roland? I said, well, do you mean black? He said, yeah. And I said, and I got stuck for a minute. It's like, I can't really think of it.
Nobody else daily.
Yeah,
nobody. Now, it's some people who are yakking on YouTube every day. That ain't a show.
Yeah, no,
but go ahead.
This is a little different. But, you know, we need to be able to increase these sort of opportunities. Whether it's, you know, if you look at the SES profile of government officials, you know, the number of people who are black in that. If we look at black media, I went to the CBC, and it was one of the events where they honored Maxine Waters, and they were talking about the progress that, you know, some progress that's being made as far as Hollywood is concerned. You know, I'm concerned about all of this, you know, whether it's not just expanding as far as our organization. You know, I'm not just interested in expanding the black conservative movement. I'm interested in expanding opportunities for black people.
Right.
And for me, that is across politics, you know, and because I do believe, you know, yeah, I'm a Republican, you know, but I do believe that there is an advantage to black people being able to leverage relationships with this administration or any other Republican to get things done, because there are a lot of people out there. No, go ahead.
Big tech need to be regulated? You're conservative, probably little government. Does big tech need to be regulated?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I would say that, you know, I'm not a big techie, but from some of the reading that I've been doing, there does seem to be. And what does that look like? I don't know, but I've read
Yeah, I think it's gotten to the point. Yeah. Not just big tech. Look, this is a digital show. This is a show that you're able to watch digital. That's not on linear television. It's not on cable news. Same thing as the internet companies. Okay, which is why I was a supporter of net neutrality. Look, these companies are, that's a utility. The reality, the internet has now become a utility. The internet is no different than that light.
Yes.
The internet is no different than that light. Because you're getting to a point now where you cannot do without it. Yeah. And so look, this thing is going to come to a head with digital media where it's going. Look, with cord cutting, what you're seeing, people are turning away from traditional. And look, these companies realize it. They're like, okay, fine, we're going to make our money over here. And and the deal is, they're pissing off, Monique and Spencer, so many Republicans and Democrats and they're getting so massive. Yeah.
Right, but the problem is, and this is where the voting in the elections matter too, because you saw when Mark Zuckerberg, when he was there for that hearing, and like those poor members of Congress were speaking just in rudimentary, like, now I know my ABCs, and he was
money.
he was out there, you know, I mean, and he didn't even have to say much because they didn't understand anything that he was saying. So in order for it to be regulated, we're going to have members of Congress taking in the information in order to educate themselves at least enough, or to take organizations, whether it's Color of Change, National Bar, your organization, who are going to put forward the legislation, because it doesn't have to all be done by them. You know, we have organizations to do that. And I agree with you. There should be coalescing here, because it's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. And I believe, Lord, I'm going to sound like Trump, on both sides. I believe that on both sides we make the mistake. Yes, there are good people on both sides.
Look,
and we make the mistake, Roland, of being Democrat only. You know, America and no place else. Jesus only. We do all of these onlys in our silos. And about this stuff, if people of color are going to advance, then you might know where some money is that we don't know, and I might know where some foot soldiers are that you don't know. And it has to come together.
Yeah, and to that point,
go ahead.
That's and when I'm talking about the CBC, because, you know, conservatives, you know, we, you know, black Republicans, we don't think we should go to CBC. I went there. I was embraced. I met some great contacts. We're getting ready to work. Our organization is getting ready to work with this organization called the Purple Aisle. And the Purple Aisle, this is what they do. They go around countries and they get a lot of stakeholders together to try to focus on an issue. They just did this in Ohio, I think. And they were able to get out of that, to get some legislation on the table. And it looks like that legislation is going to be passed. These are the sort of opportunities that we can work with. I went to the Women Trump Summit, and I was sitting there at the table with these white women with big pearls on and probably plenty of money, but they were sitting at that table talking about criminal justice reform and marijuana.
Well, I'll tell you right now, on this issue, first of all, Mark Lucky's post has gotten lots of media attention already. This simple. I fully expect, and this is where civil rights organizations should be putting the pressure on Facebook. Folks who don't know, when Reverend Jackson started his Silicon Valley initiative, okay, I just want y'all to understand this here. Even other black folks in black media didn't want to hear from him. Let me help y'all out, okay? Because, see, I was there. There were a lot of black people who were pissed off at Reverend Jackson because of Obama. They didn't want to put Reverend Jackson on his radio show. So when we launched News One Now in 2013, it was a 2-hour radio show, and then the third hour was on television. Every Tuesday, I had Reverend Jackson on my show. Every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, we talked about his Silicon Valley initiative. Okay? The reason Facebook has 4% black employees, they ain't have 4% 4 years ago. It's because Reverend Jackson put the pressure on Mark Zuckerberg to hire more black people. Put the pressure on Apple, put the pressure on Intel, put the pressure on Twitter. Deborah Lee, the first African American to be on the board of directors of Twitter. That didn't happen just because. It happened because of the pressure of Reverend Jackson. Ken Chenault, former CEO of American Express, first African American on the board of Facebook. That didn't happen just because. You have seen that. The point I'm making is pressure by black folks is how we've gotten everything we've gotten in America. Tech companies are going to have to feel that pressure. The civil rights organizations should be taking this letter that Mark Lucky has posted, studying it, and going to those companies, going to Facebook and saying, okay, we need to deal with this here, but then take it beyond them as well. Because this is not the future, folks. This is the now. You keep hearing me talk about how you shape the narrative, how you control the narrative, how you own the narrative. Well, that's what technology is doing. If the Facebooks of the world are shutting out black content creators, or shutting the door, or only letting one or two in, they're shaping the narrative. They're determining what you get to watch. Now, I'm going to say this, and I've talked about it, but let me tell you what happened with us at this show. The first week we launched Roland Martin Unfiltered, we did 1.88 million views of this show our first week. 1.214 million of those views came from Facebook. The next week, we only had 900,000 on Facebook. The third week, we had about 700,000. And I said, what the hell is going on? What happened to our viewers? My digital guy, who's in Chicago, he goes, I'm no longer getting the live notification of Roland Martin Unfiltered. Y'all, he works for me. So we then start asking around. A bunch of our other followers no longer got the live notification of the show. Now, it was checked. They had it give me live notifications. So I sent an email. Mark Lucky was one of the people I sent an email to. He sent an email back saying that they had a bug in their system for high traffic or high user accounts that they weren't getting live notifications. So what am I trying to say here? Here's what I said in the email. How are you suppressing my views? So all of a sudden, I got 1 million people who follow me on Facebook. I got 1 million people who 511,000 on Twitter. We got 234,000 subscribers on YouTube, about 130,000 on Periscope. So I had to ask the question, and I need to get my HDMI cable, so get this for me. So I didn't ask the question, I said, wait a minute, why are my people not seeing it? I look at the numbers right now during the show. I'm going to show you in a second right now. So I need you to come on. So here's the deal. I got 1 million people who follow me on Facebook, which means that I really should have more people who watch me on Facebook than any other of the social media accounts. Right? That's what you would think, right? You would think that that's the case. Well, if I plug in this here right now, so let me pull it up right here. I just want to show y'all, just so I understand. And I still haven't gotten the full answer that I need to say, why are my people not getting live notifications? Here's what I think. I think what they were trying to do is they're trying to make me buy ads to get my own followers to watch my show when they already follow me. That makes no sense. So right now, we are live on Facebook. So if you go, so pull it up, Henry, pull up my iPad. So you will see right here that we have 467 or so people who are watching us right now on Facebook. Okay? That's on Facebook. Okay, let me go here. Now I'm going to go to YouTube. Right now on YouTube, okay? Right now on YouTube, there are 851 people watching us on YouTube. I have 234,000 subscribers on YouTube. Let me go over to Periscope. Right now on Periscope, we've got 116 people who are watching us, 112 people who are watching us on Periscope. So explain to me. I don't control the algorithm. So I need Facebook to explain to me, how are a lot of my followers no longer getting the live notification of my show? Now remember when I said how we perform? Numbers don't lie. In the month of September, we did 8.2 million total views. In October, we did 6.5 million views on Facebook, 9.8 million total minutes viewed. On YouTube, we did 6.9 million views, 62.1 million total minutes viewed. Periscope, 712,000 views, 1.49 million total views, meaning the total viewership that we had on the 3 channels in October was 14.1 million, with total minutes being 73.5 million. I'm laying all that out to you is because you can go to Facebook Watch right now, and you can see some of those shows, and I guarantee you, they ain't getting close to what we do. What does that mean? It means that you want to see these type of shows. You are watching this show. So then you have to ask yourself, well, if you are watching this show and I haven't bought jack, it's all organic, why is it that a Facebook wouldn't call us and say, yo, y'all killing it. Let's talk about a deal. That's what's happening with other companies. And that's how you control the narrative, which is why we as consumers have to say, either you give us what we want or we go elsewhere. And I'm just letting y'all know, if I don't get what I desire, then I'm no longer going to show my show on Facebook. I'm only going to show it on YouTube because YouTube has an ad revenue program with us, and it makes sense. Otherwise, Facebook, I'm giving you free content and you're giving me nothing. That, to me, folks, is why we must use our voices to speak truth to power when it comes to technology. So we're going to keep covering this story, and we'll see how Facebook responds. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.